Reddit Tales. Presents. People share their disturbing secrets, Part 1. I tampered with my roommate's girlfriend's toothpaste. She would eat everyone's food and deny it when confronted. Barge into my room, master bedroom, to use master bathroom when someone else was using the second bathroom. Cause a freak show when they argued, yelling, screaming, throwing shit out window from the second floor. Just an overall awful person. We even told roommates she could only be over certain hours of the day when we weren't around, otherwise to go to her place. Even tried getting our university involved to get him out. The kicker was when I came home to her wearing some of my girlfriend's clothes. So I beat off and jammed my load into her toothpaste bottle and pissed in her face wash. The mere sound of hearing her getting ready in the morning made her last month of lingering around a little easier. I was asked to be a groomsman at their wedding. I didn't see a need to tell anyone. I helped a married woman get pregnant. This happened some 30+ years ago, long before I got married. I was 31 at the time. A buddy's sister asked me to meet her and her friend Kay, 35, at a nightclub for drinks. After a couple of drinks, Kay explained that her and her husband had been trying to have a baby for the 12 years they had been married. They had tried fertility meds, but the problem was her husband had low sperm count with low motility. They had exhausted all of their savings and mortgaged their house trying in vitro with no success. Kay asked if I would be willing to be a sperm donor. I asked her what her husband thought of that. She said he would never agree, but she was determined to have a baby. She said the doctors had just prescribed a different fertility med and she would use that as the explanation for getting pregnant finally. I asked how I could go about donating. She said she had no more money to pay to do this via a lab, so we'd have to do it the old-fashioned way. We swore an oath, with her friend as witness, that if this worked we would tell no one. She would never consider me as liable and I would have no rights to the child. Kay came by my house a couple of Saturdays during the next month when she was supposedly out with her girlfriend, but there was no news. Then one afternoon in the middle of the week she called me and told me she needed to see me that night. After that night, I never saw or heard from her again. I heard from my buddy's sister 9 months later that Kay had twin girls. But I guess to ensure I didn't get curious, I was told Kay's husband was finally able to get her pregnant. I have never told anyone, not even my wife, that I very likely have twin daughters. I have become a bit concerned in recent years with all the DNA kits people are doing. I tried to kill my sister's best friend when I was younger. When I was 7 years old, my sister, who is a year and a half older than me, had a best friend. I felt so much hatred towards her. I hated her so much. Every time she would come to hang at our place I would feel like going crazy. So one day I decided that the day has come to get rid of her. A few days later my sister told me that she and her best friend were going to have a sleepover at our home. And I decided that that was the perfect opportunity to kill her. I took a pot from the kitchen and I mixed their bleach and many more detergents and chemicals. I took a small water gun and filled it with the bleach mix. Basically my plan was to wait until they fall asleep and I would make my sister's best friend drink the mix while she's sleeping. That way she would die in her sleep and no one would know why. So I hid the pot and sent the detergents back in their place, so I wouldn't leave any traces. And then I waited for them to fall asleep. Of course, since they were having a sleepover, they were staying up really late, and me being only a child, I fell asleep while waiting for them. So I woke up the next morning and realized that I fell asleep. I was so mad that that perfect opportunity to kill her went to waste. But now every time I remember I thank God that I fell asleep. Just to clear things up, I was never a psychopathic child, it's just this stupid idea that I had. I was always very mentally stable and still am to this day. I broke my own ceramics project and stole and submitted someone else's. When I was in 6th grade, I signed up for a ceramics class. Pretty simple, I thought I could manage. One specific project we had to make was a mug, which I was really excited for. I gave it a shot and it looked nothing like I imagined. This girl, Amy, fake name, sat next to me, and her mug looked 100% the real deal. I was bored cause admittedly I thought myself gifted in art. I see reality now, and for some reason I couldn't stand it. Amy and I weren't super close, but we talked frequently enough. While I had finished my lopsided mug and handle, she was still working on her beautifully perfect mug body, and had yet to start her handle. Now, here's where my immature, unreasonably idiotic brain kicked in. During tutorial, I went into the nearly empty classroom and snuck into the back room where all our projects were stored. I took Amy's from the shelf and switched it with mine. I realized something though. Our projects were vastly different in looks, and where we were in progress, she would have noticed immediately. So the next logical thing my stupid self did? I pulled the handle off my own, stuck it to Amy's, and I smashed my project, the one I switched for Amy's. So now I had a beautiful cup with a manageable handle, and what used to be my mug, now Amy's, lay smashed on the floor. We were working with wet clay, so no shards or anything, just mush. The next day Amy found now hers smashed mug, and she was devastated. I remember denting my new mug a bit so it wouldn't look too much like I stole hers. No one ever found out, and Amy had to make a new mug from scratch. I feel horribly guilty now that I remember. I drew a dead baby picture and gave it to my pregnant aunt. When I was around 18 years old, I learned that my aunt was pregnant. She announced it at a family dinner. At the same dinner, she also told me she was taking the funds she said she was setting aside and using them for her own children. Some backstory: my parents are terrible. There was one year where my aunt basically raised me. That was one of the best years of my life. I love her so much, and I have wished countless times that she was my mother. I was so incredibly angry with my own life and my own parents. I was so jealous of the baby. I pulled my art kit out and made a very realistic drawing of a dead baby. I walked right up to my aunt and gave it to her. This was like 15 years ago. I don't remember what I said to her, probably something terrible. However, this is one of the worst things I have ever done because I did it to someone I love and admire so much.